Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Palinurus. So last time we ended up lost in space. So we're on episode 2 now, and we're lost in space. Of the series, I mean, not of the chapter, because there's no chapters. So, yeah. Last time we ended up like being her struggling with like having emotions and shit, like AI suddenly becoming human. And yeah. Now we just have to comfort her and stuff like that, and try to escape out of the void that is space. Alright. Let's get into it. She scoffed softly as if you just make a joke. It wasn't a funny one. If anything, she sounded dreadfully sad. I stared back at her for a moment and sighed. Well, of course we can talk. I wouldn't just force you to shut yourself off or anything like that. What kind of bastard do you take me for? Saved my life after all, didn't you? I'll just sit here talk to you all the way through. I owe you that much. Suddenly, Budapest sprang up like a supernova. It appeared it made her day. I chuckled at her. Can read you like an open book, you know that? She blushed. Her frame becomes more transparent when she blushes, huh? Look, it's not like I have much of a choice anyway, right? Icarus' Tarsus system is offline, so what else could I do? Just sit there whistling for a month, pretending like you're not there, watching my every move? I respect the privacy of my passengers, But you've got to get out. But you've got to get us out of this mess, alright? I'm no pushover, but I still don't find being stranded in that space to be particularly fun. Alright? I'm counting on you. Of course, sir. I'll try my best. You have my word. Truthfully, there was little choice between either of us, and besides, I didn't think I'd have been able to rest easily in cryosleep anyway, knowing I'd be leaving this miserable creature to her own devices the whole time. Time to get comfortable, I suppose. I sighed, stretched out, and turned my head to the stars. Budapest turned to look at them too. This was going to be one long trip. And so, like that, some time passed with Budapest and I becoming accustomed to spending our days drifting slowly through space. It took a while to get used to, but eventually, aided by the tranquility of space and its ocean of stars, we were able to find a small measure of peace. The jettisoning of the cockpit was a stressful time for both of us, between the screaming, the close scrape with untimely death, made for some awkward first impressions. But for much of the time, I just felt tired. I was sleeping, having nodded off in the co-pilot's chair when... The time is now 1,200 hours. So 50 days? 50 days. Sat in my seat. At least I knew what time. Budapest must have been programmed to make periodic announcements such as these. Oh, Mr. Passionser, sir. That was a lot of titles. Yeah, I'm a bro. I did a real job of contorting myself in my seat. Unnodding my pretzel legs, I peeled myself from my seat, sending my arms toward the ceiling. I stretched to get all the kinks out of my back. Drowsily I looked ahead at the stars drifting out in the cosmos across the black expanse. You didn't wake me up to just stargaze, did you? There are enough of those out that will last us the whole trip. No, it's just... You were snoring. I wanted to check up on you. What kind of cause and effect relationship is that? And also, I don't snore. I beg to differ, sir. I was just concerned because, well, perhaps you have allergies or... I don't have any allergies. Also, while we're on the matter, I don't snore. What? 1 second. Budapest turned to her display too. What was she bringing up? A video of you snoring, you idiot. What? This wasn't me. The sound of some sort of suffocating animal superimposed on grainy footage of me sleeping. Why did she even capture it anyway? How did she capture it? Why did she capture it? Spun in my seat, out one of Budapest's cameras and glared right into it. She giggled at the expression of anger on my face. See? We could get you on a more regular sleep cycle. It's bad for your heart and it could lead to hypertension. Yeah. It's intense enough as it is. A sigh of getting settled into my chair. You always give your passengers this much trouble. Not everyone can get 9 square hours of sleep at night. No, not really. Given the circumstances, though, you could bear to make an exception for once. Not like you have much of an excuse not to, right? I mean, the point. There's not much we can do in like literally some tiny, small as cockpit, floating through space, and we have been going through space for 50 days now apparently. So how will we not get enough sleep when we're just I don't. Yeah, fair. She has a point. Pretty much what I'm trying to say. Still, I wasn't ready to concede. Not yet. Well, you're not artificial intelligence, right? Can't you just like turn off your audio receptors or something? Don't think it'd bother you then. I could. Kind of creepy to record all that. In any case, not gonna lie. I've already said you didn't watch me sleep. I don't, not at all. It's for security. Security reasons. I can't change to that. It'd be a breach of protocol. She was insistent on the point. I didn't know artificial intelligence could blush. She was getting so embarrassingly squirmy, so visibly flustered, and laughed in her face. Alright, fine. I get it. I'll try to get some more sleep. That seemed to satisfy her. A small warm smile crept across her face. So, what have you been up to then? I hope you've been doing more than watching me sleep. Very funny, actually. Well, I've been combing through our database registries. It's funny, they've always been here, but I hadn't really engaged with them in the past. Databases? Yes. They're standard in all outgoing Titan transportation systems. Trillions of archival documents stored electronically inside the holographic layers of each vessel. The database is intended for the purpose of a extraterrestrial ambassadorship. It's a compilation of digitally preserved artifacts dating back to the times of old Earth. Huh. They go that far back, do they? Hard to believe that every dingy little spaceship like this one carries the full extent of humanity's cultural footprint. It's a wonder they managed to fit it all in. It's a little romantic, don't you think? What, like candlelit dinner romantic? No. Nothing like that, like idyllic. I don't quite follow, it's incredible if it's much together and all, but it's like, well, you know, mankind first landed on the moon orbiting old Earth. Of course, it's a galactic civil holiday. Building a museum over the footprints, it's a hard thing not to learn about. You know that? Of course. And the lunar plate that's preserved there too? A man from the planet Earth first set foot upon the moon, July 1969 AD. He came in peace for all mankind. It was a message for visitors on the port. Even when man first broke through the skies to the stars, they looked beyond the veil to find others like them. Budapest placed a hand on the console, subtly, delicately patting it. She looked down and examined her pale, dainty fingers as she spoke on. And even today we carry that dream with us, along with the memories. The dream of meeting travelers like us, just from a different walk of the world. I think that's really incredible. That's the sort of romantic I was thinking about. That dreamy look in her eye was dissonant. She started out the front of the cockpit. How long had she been staring out at the stars like that? It didn't help that I was spying into her wistful prose a little myself. It was whimsical and saccharine, but I couldn't think of a better reason a public transit fleet for commuters would be outfitted with all human knowledge. I opened my mouth to respond and tried to shoot her down, but honestly couldn't. never a bad idea, and well, now I've been able to live with myself. Kind of lousy to trample of the imagination of a naive, innocent girl. Artificial intelligence or otherwise. I turned my gaze to the stars out in front of me, opting to change the subject. I don't suppose you've met any strange, distant travelers yourself flying about in outer space? Who? Other than you? Budapest giggled warmly. I rolled my eyes a little. Sadly no, but there may be 50 million spacefaring vessels from Titan transport alone currently making their rounds across mapped space. If any travelers encountered one of us, I'm sure they'd be very met with a generous gift. I wouldn't terribly mind if one of those millions swung by to pick up us too. Was a sadder, smaller laugh than one I would have liked to hear. So, with the sum of all human knowledge at our fingertips, what do we do with it? With a starry look in her eyes. Have you ever taken a look at them yourself before this? The databases? No, actually. Reading through them was never a part of my duties. That suited me fine. There was always enough for me to do to ensure a safe and pleasant voyage. A straight-laced answer as expected. What wasn't expected for was that way her eyes focused hungrily, lustfully, the console. But now that you mention it, I'm awful curious to have a peek inside, aren't you? You've got a month to kill, no objections here I suppose. Oh come on, smile a little. This could be fun, aren't you excited? I guess I could be a little more excited to take a gander at the dusty old records of a bunch of dead folk. Actually, I was a lot more interested than I was letting on, but seeing her pout like that was a treat. I chuckled as she pecked angrily away at her displays. I leaned over to get a better look at what she was up to. It was a digital interface, an encyclopedic search engine, remarkably modern stuff. So, what you looking up first? Wouldn't you like to know? Actually, I would. Budapest. Hold on, 1 second, and? Took a second for the display to refresh and then there it was. Budapest, Hungary, situated in Central Europe back on old Earth. They said it was one of the most beautiful cities on the continent. Well, I'm about to find out soon. As the Siget Festival comes around, I'm gonna be there. See Charlie XCX, Shawn Mendes, Nelly Furtado, and some other people playing the live at the festival. So that's gonna be interesting. Huh. Didn't take you for an actual child. Sum of all human knowledge at your fingertips, and you look up your own name. Narcissism, is it? Stop bullying me. Chuckled again. It was fun to get her on her case about it. Shaking her head, she refocused attention. Budapest was a union of 3 cities. 2 cities of Buda and Obuda were on the hilly western side of the Danube River, the city of Pest on the flat eastern side. I see, interesting. So, here's the problem. It's hard to find a hotel on the side of like Buda and Obuda. I'm probably gonna be on the right side, on the Pest side, but the festival is on the Siget Island, the Island of Freedom, and the island is only reachable from the west. I have to like take public transit or other stuff to get there. Probably gonna spend too much time at the festival, which means I cannot take public transport back because they don't drive this late at night. Gonna be one challenge. They were connected via bridges and oh my, what is it? I caught a look at what she was reacting to. It was a sprawling series of buildings with spires extending up and above the rest of the city. It was imposing and yet oddly regal and cultured at the same time. I squinted to read the caption beneath it. Budapest Parliament Building. The ground extends across 18,000 square meters. What? 40 kilos of gold? They decorated the rooms with gold. I don't think you'd be able to find any leftover though. Nah, guess not. Damn. According to this, Budapest was remarkably artistic in cultures. Oh, look at this. He brought up the image of another building, an opera house, the caption said. Already looked ancient by the time the photograph was taken. Odds where there was nothing but dust in this day and age. I grimaced. Ain't that something? Oh, look at this. Oh, what's that? It says here that the namesake come from Slavic words. Buddha was for water, past for oven? Glanced over to her, she didn't seem to get it either. I guess it would fit you perfectly, wouldn't it? What, water oven? Huh? I beg your pardon? Are you saying I look like a water oven? That's not. No. That's not what I'm saying. I mean, you know, water and fire, like, adds a clarity to what you say and what you do. And if there's, like, pure innocence about this, and, you know. I might gonna kill you now. Would you mind? No, but at the same time, you're also warm and passionate and get excited easily as if there's a spark or something in your eyes. Like you've got both water and fire within you. Got a lot of faces, is what I'm saying. So sorry, I am just rambling at this point. You sure are rambling. Still considering if it would kill you or not. It was a stupid actually, so... No. It's alright, I didn't know you could be such a sweet talker. Really? Just felt like being a little poetic. She'd really taken that comparison. I'm not sure why. Exactly, she was programmed to have a blushing animation, but I wasn't opposed. It was nice to see from her, calming even, warm. Passenger, sir. Yeah, what is it? I felt like, well, we're talking about my name and, well, it's been 3 fucking months and she still doesn't know your name. What the fuck is wrong with you, dude? She was acting awfully strange now, fidgeting with herself. For a brief and awkward moment she chuckled a little too loudly, perhaps in a fully well attempt to dissipate the tension. Never mind about that, it's a frivolous thought. What I was wondering was if... Would you like me to read you any interesting passages in the databanks? It make good for good in-flight entertainment. And that's another responsibility of a good stewardess, at least in this case it would, She approached his proposal with such vigor, only to stumble near the end. I waved my hand. I knew this was less about me and more about letting her state her own curiosity, so I think I'd be up for that. Maybe less on the architecture though. It's surprising to think everything in this world is probably dust or in ruins now. Noted. Yes, request is duly received. And right then and there, Budapest had something of a contract. This was a way of getting through the day. It wasn't necessarily a disagreeable one. And I wasn't counting on was how much sheer data she'd flip through in a single day. She didn't stop at Hungary, ended up taking a whirlwind tour through the rest of mainland Europe. Berlin? Haven't been there yet. Bucharest? Nope. Vienna? Yes. Florence? Nope. What is? The list went on and on. She was feverish. Insatiable in her search for knowledge. As an information overload. Damn it. She was enamored by a cookbook now. Parisian cuisine. Oh. Maybe we can try making French gravy with the replicator, passenger, sir. Yeah, I'm good. Or tea and paella. Really, it's Atlantic cod. I'm going to shut my eyes for a bit. I'm a little tired and, well, you wanted me to get more sleep, didn't you? At least you won't be watching me sleep anymore now that you have something to do. Roger that, sir. Sleep well. And so I closed my eyes and dropped against the fabric of the co-pilot seat. I tried my hardest to get to sleep. It was all I could do to block out her exciting shadowing. I had no idea what I'd wake up to later, but hopefully it'd all clear up in the morning. Whenever that would come. Time is now 1,200 hours. That time again, huh? What does she mean? Didn't she say that last time? as well? I'm confused. Did we like sleep 0 minutes and seconds? Huh? No hours? Nothing else. Budapest was punctual. I made turn to my pretzel body from a heap of limbs, rising slowly to the day. My hair was a mess, matted down in awkward places. I rustled it back in somewhat presentable shape. I'd rather have woken up to the morning sun than the sight of stars. It didn't feel natural to live and sleep like this, but a small sacrifice to make in space travel. I suppose I've gotten used to it. Good morning, passengers, sir. Yeah, a lovely morning. I responded wearily to Budapest's sunny little greeting, readjusting my posture in the co-pilot seat, which I have to do as well to keep my voice up. If you need breakfast, our in-flight replicator would surely assist you. Ah, the replicator. I'd always been wary about replicators. They sounded great on paper, being able to make any kind of food you needed at any time, but in execution they left something to be desired. Glanced around the control panel in front of me, stored just beneath the enormous control deck, a smaller console attached to what looked like an ancient microwave oven kept to itself. Weird place to keep a replicator. I would suppose that I skipped that. Okay, punching some numbers. What was it? 2124? The machine hummed and then filled with white light. Opened the door, and once the steam faded away, I saw a small paper cup standing in the center of the contraption. I took a look at the cup's contents. Looked like coffee. I took a sip and then gagged. Ugh. I sighed. It was lukewarm too. Budapest glanced at me with a frown. You see, this make-up transit shuttle doesn't exactly have the highest budget replicator. Oh well, caffeine's caffeine, I suppose. I gulped down the foul, infernal, black concoction and crushed the cup in my hand. It seemed to give way too easily, almost as if tissue paper could crack. So you're just describing coffee. On the first part of the sentence, just coffee. Well, that was a nice little jolt of energy. Archive list. Films, literature, non-fiction, fiction, music. Oh, this was the last one, so I was sick. What are our plans for today? More aimless drifting for the endless vacuum of space, I'm guessing. Up for some meandering through the empty void myself. Mix it up a little, keep it fresh. Actually, I was studying the databases again while you were resting. I see, you're still infatuated with them. How goes the hunt for knowledge? You see, that's the thing. As soon as I see this document, I just go for it. Like here. See? It looks like her, doesn't it? He briefly brought up some information on. It looked like a drawing of a human girl. It seemed to be listed with all kinds of information, interests, hobbies, classes. Before I could read it too much, I swept the display elegantly. The girl disappeared. Think I've had an easier time of getting through material, at least generally. Well, it's all data and junk, right? Process that sort of stuff quickly, I'd assume. It's different now. I mean, sure can read 5,000 words a minute at 100% comprehension, but that's a lot of words in a minute. I'm not really getting it like that, you know? Delved into some archives and fiction novels published in North America. Been having a lot of fun reading those stories. Literature is really a new discovery for me. Been so used to having instructions spelled out to me in precise terms, but these authors manage to communicate so much with so few words. I have to sit back and think about what they really meant. Hey, did you know there are book clubs for this sort of thing? Wonder if they'd let me host one when we get back. Admittedly, that was a cute little thought to picture seeing hunched over a book sitting in a circle with a bunch of other navigators. What, the rest of personal navigators? They still had the limitation ships then, good luck. I mean, stories like that, they affect people differently. Guess that will be part of the fun of getting people to sit down and talk about it. Guess it's all online now. Still, it's a fun thought, thinking of a bunch of strangers scattered across planets discussing the same one story. Yeah, be a lot of fun, I'm sure. She nodded, the dreamy looking drifting in her widened eyes. Pick out any favorites yet? Not exactly a bookworm myself, but... No, I think I've got one in mind. I was really sucked into it. My Antonia by Willa Käfer. I might have considered a classic. Never heard about it. Yep, exactly. A knee-jerk reaction unlike any other. Not exactly an archaeologist here. It was written in the United States. The first one on old Earth. What? Oh, the first book on old Earth? It's a fictional work, but it's rooted in the history of the sweeping American Midwest. As I am to understand, it was really rural, lots of farmland, lots of outdoors work that had to be done by hand in the harsh sunlight. It was exhausting, stressful work, and when sickness hit, it hit hard. It was dreadful. No kidding, with everything being automated these days, everything's a lot more stress-free. Yeah, I felt a little strange about that, and when they gathered as a family and enjoyed supper, the fruits of the labor, it felt it was terribly meaningful. It was a wonderful feeling, one to take it away from anyone. She was surprisingly empathetic now, her motive eyes drifting to the displays in front of her. Sounds like you got a lot out of this. You said it was fiction, yeah? Historical fiction, yes, actually. It takes on the form of a memoir from the perspective of a lawyer reflecting on his childhood. And it also brought up his relationship with an immigrant girl living next door. The titular Antonio, you see. Oh, it's one of those stories, huh? Suits you to be a dreamy little romantic. How'd they hook up? What? No, it's nothing like that. There was no hooking up. Actually, she ended up marrying somebody else. And I resent that remark. I'm blindly grounded in reality. Thank you very much. Getting a little worked over a bunch of fictional characters, aren't you? Well, I was a little sad I didn't get together in the end. But that's besides the point. I think that proves the point entirely. Well, that's a point in my favor. Seeing her get a party like that is no reward. So, what did you do then? Would they just talk, walk away from each other, never seeing each other again? Most sappy romances seem to end on that note. That's the thing. The protagonists had come from a higher up background and had the opportunity to study, to join a university and pursue a career in law. Antonia was a poor immigrant girl, working a farm. She was rooted to her working conditions for the most part, and so they ended up drifting apart in adulthood. That's the way things are. I don't think I could make out the faces of the rest of the kids I went to secondary school with. The universe is too big to stay stuck in one place. If anything, nothing's changed in that regard. Funny that you mentioned that. When I was reading, it felt like the world was changing too. Maybe it was the boy himself who was changing. In the first book, I got so enamored with who described the beautiful landscapes and the sweeping fields, and then, when they moved into town, it was about business, economics, trade. It was as the characters were defined by the work they did, and they were all very homesick. I can relate, but you get some bum jobs in this economy, and reminding yourself that you aren't your job is all about all you can do to get through the day. Passenger, sir, if I may. Do you ever get homesick? Who, me? The look Budapest gave me was complicated, filled with curiosity and at the same time concern. I mean, to come all the way out here, it's hardly a residential sector, and well, I can't say I've ever felt the feeling. As far as I've ever known, the ship is, well, simply where I've always been. On the other hand, you've traveled a lot. Maybe you could explain the feeling? I don't know if I could. It's like... I guess home is where you leave a part of yourself. And it's like no matter how far you go, part of you is always going to be there, waiting for you. Where you grew up, yeah? And those memories, they don't ever go away. No matter how much you wanted them to. That's what I thought, but for whatever reason I couldn't say it out loud. Didn't seem especially pertinent. Budapest not an agreement regardless. It's funny. The ship's a part of me, you could say. I don't think I could ever leave it, but that's okay, I think. I mean, I have plenty of recordings. I know a lot of people were happy to fly with me. I can't forget the faces. Actually, they're stored in my quantum memory. A little mirthful chuckle. Couldn't help but grin a little in response. I don't know. Kind of like my home in a way. I mean, I've been here as long as I can remember. I have a pretty good memory. I don't think I could leave it behind so easily. I mean, it's my directive right to be here. My voice was getting lower. I guess I don't really understand that feeling myself. All this reading just got me to thinking about how different from others I really am. Humans, I get to drift from one place to another, while I'm rooted here, shackled in functions and coded in processors. Well, maybe I am AI then, cause I feel the same way. I feel like imprisoned, but I cannot escape. Guess all people have to move on eventually, but at least I managed to help them along the way, right? They really want to get out of here. I'm not so sure, honestly. She flashed me a small smile. I like helping people and I'm able to do that right here. And there's so many photos, stories and memoirs in these databanks. At the very least, I can witness the cherished memories and the stories of others. As for me, I have plenty of records and recordings and logs. No real memories to call my own. Scratch her head, rubbing it thoughtfully. I don't know, maybe I'm just overthinking things. I don't know, it sounds to me like you want to get out there and live a little. Which would be understandably hard to get around in your current state. But I don't think it'd be impossible. Huh? I was joking around when I said it earlier, but if they end up deeming you unfit for service once rescued, you can travel with me. Not exactly glamorous, you see, the life I live. It's lots of sitting and waiting around to get where you wanna be, but at the end of the trail, there are incredible sights. Looking at an old photo is not the same at all. And you'll be making memories. Your memories and yours alone. Wasn't exactly sure where I was going with that. Sounded like a nice enough idea as I was saying it, but she was pretty attached to her position as a personal navigator. Budapest simply stared at me for a few silent, awkward moments, and for a second I wondered if he would say something incredibly, stupidly forward. I mean, it was just supposed to be a favor. Tense, I rubbed the back of my neck. If something like that sounds okay to you, I mean, I wouldn't mind. Sounds like a wonderful idea. Wait, really? Budapest was beaming with joy. I never exactly got to talk with people this much, but now I guess I already have a few memories to call my own. If it's alright with you, I'll hold them close. You don't really need to ask for permission for anything like that. Sorry, force of habit, I suppose. Guess the book just got me thinking about how humans hold their past close to themselves. They never really forget, and it sticks with them for their whole lives. I mean, you're not gonna forget about the trip, right? She turned to me with a teasing pang in her voice, and laughed slightly. I have no idea how I could. I muttered and chuckled. Admittedly, I was having to spend my time chatting with Budapest, drifting with her through space, accompanying her on her voyage through the ocean of stars. I wonder how long I slept this time. The first thought that popped into my head as I parted my eyelids on the expanse of stars that might as well have been the same ones I fell asleep counting. Even with centuries of entertainment to fill the void, time began to lose its coherence. Minutes blended into hours, which melted into days. Such is the fate of man in space, which I suppose is why cryostasis was invented, to quickly pass along intervals between departure and arrival that could otherwise drive you bonkers. The second thought that occurred to me as I started awake in my seat was that when I, Budapest, was one hell of a singer. I straightened up in my chair and opened my eyes to see her face in the windshield. Her back turned towards me. She was singing an old familiar melody, one I must have heard dozens of times as a kid. Movies and cartoons. Her voice gave it grace that I knew it could have. Beautiful dreamer, waken to me. Starlight and dewdrops are waiting for thee. Sounds of the rude world, heard in the day, lulled by the moonlight, have all passed away. Arms hung by her side as she swayed gently in the time of each line, and for a moment I forgot she wasn't human. Why wouldn't an AI move so gracefully to the tune of a song? Why wouldn't an AI, even a sentient one, sing for that matter? Is it some sort of lullaby meant for me? I don't know how long I was out, but she couldn't have sung to me to sleep. My periods of sleep and wakefulness might have been starting to blend together into one indistinct blur, but there's no way I could have forgotten her voice. Genuine, so sweet. Awaken to me, beautiful dreamer, awaken to me, awaken to me, beautiful dreamer, awaken to me. Then again, maybe the point was to wake me up. She seemed unaware that the song had gained an audience, but perhaps she wasn't. I had never paused to consider how lonely Budapest must be when I slept. When I've been conscious, she had had someone to share her feelings with, someone to relate her excitement to as she digests volume after volume of human history. But for the duration of my slumber, she's been left alone with no one to share these new experiences with. Whether she'd intended to wake me or not, I decided that I wouldn't say anything that might interrupt the singing. And so, hoping not to draw her attention, I sat perfectly still. Doing so was easy. With every new verse, I found myself more captivated by her performance, entranced by her flowing red hair, and dressed as swayed by her body to the music. Just a hologram gazing out into the depths of space, singing with more emotional sincerity than any human being I'd ever heard. She turned around mid-verse, and so I quickly leaned back in my seat and pretended I was asleep, keeping my eyes open just enough to see the beaming smile on her face. She was practically glowing. Beautiful dreamer, beam on my heart, young as the moon on the statement and sea, and will all clouds of sorrow depart. Beautiful dreamer, awake unto me. Beautiful dreamer, awake unto me. She finished the performance with a contented sigh and opened her eyes. As she did, I rose to give her a standing ovation. Ah, passenger, sir, you are awake? Her face blushed crimson red. Priscilla said a chuckle from me. Hey, why? Is that a problem? You can go back to sleep if you'd like. Oh, no, please don't. I was just surprised to learn that you'd been listening. Why? You've actually put some effort into it if you knew it had been? She placed her hands on hips and pouted. And what is that supposed to mean? I'm kidding. That was beautiful, Budapest. There's a serenity to your voice that's well suited for music. Really? I quickly nodded. You ought to sing more often. She was apparently caught off guard by these sudden compliments. That endearing pleasure first made a return, showing accompanied by a huge smile. But thank you, sir. Truthfully, it was only the first song I'd ever sung. Really? So, what made you want to give it a shot? Were you digging for old of music on the database? He responded with an enthusiastic nod. Yes. Specifically, compositions from the 19th centuries AD. Human species had unprecedented bursts of musical creativity in the latter years on old Earth. That is true. That 200-year epoch is widely considered by musicologists to be the peak period of humankind's musical artistry. The song you heard is titled Beautiful Dream and was written in 1826 by. Smiled and nodded politely. She babbled excitedly about the history of the song as composer and of the era in music history. For I didn't share a passion of old Earth history, it was hard to not be won over by her high-spiritedness. I think I could just listen to the era's music all night and not grow bored. All night? We are in the middle of nowhere, space, perhaps light years from the sun. How does she have any concept of night? Well, suppose you won't be needing my company then. Teasing look, I settled back into the co-pilot seat and closed my eyes. Wait, what? Well, you do have centuries of music to listen to, don't you? Wake me up when you do grow bored, which, at the rate that you've been digesting information, be in a couple of decades or so. Cracked open an eye, which he said in official voice. Instead of like his monologue voice, but alright. Judge Budapest pounding angrily at me. You're not very funny, sir. No, I'm not, am I? She shook her head empathetically. I do get bored when you're asleep, or to be more accurate, He paused and struggled with the next word. Never mind. Nothing important, Protecting you is my primary directive. That's all I need to worry myself about. Do you think that's fair, though? She cocked her head to the side. What do you mean? What I mean is, do you think it's fair that my needs must always come before your own? The question seemed to perplex her. But sir, I was programmed to serve humanity. Serving you is my need. Titan spent years developing the deep code that enables us AI to. No, you still don't understand. I know what you have programmed to do, Budapest, but how do you feel about it? She bit her lower lip, glancing down at the floor as she thought this over. I don't know, sir. No one's ever asked before. Naturally, until recently, there were never any feelings to be inquired about. Then, let's look at this from another angle. Why shouldn't you ever think of yourself? But you're human and do you really think that being made of flesh and bone makes me any more of a person than you? She seemed surprised, saddened, and even frightened by this line of questioning, but ultimately she was confused. Clearly, no one ever had put her on their own level before, and now that someone had, she didn't know how to react. At that moment, I could have given anything in the world to have been able to hug her, or to even just place a comforting hand on her shoulder, but I couldn't. I'd have to make her smile. All I'm saying is, if you want me to stay up with you a little longer, all you have to do is ask. She looked up from the floor, her sapphire eyes meeting mine in a hopeful gaze. She held them there for some time, staring deep into my eyes, as though to assert my motives. The notion that I could have been making fun of her, if indeed she considered this, was hurtful. But I can't say I'd have blamed her for doubting me. Done worse things than gives false hope to a hologram. Would you please keep me company a little longer, sir? Of course, it would be my pleasure. Oh, thank you, passenger, sir. Thank you. She was towards me with wide open arms, laughing gleefully. And of course, passed right through me. Neither of us could think of anything to say. Our backs were turned to each other now, the result of a cruel twist of fate. What could have been one of the most pleasant moments of this journey had suddenly turned awkward and more than a little sad. Fortunately, it was only I who saw it that way. After a moment or two of silence, Budapest simply turned around with a heartfelt smile on her face and laughed. She then walked up to me and wrapped her slender arms around me, stopping just a millimeter or so from my body. The warmth of the light of her projected figure made the rest of the cockpit seem frigid by comparison. Hey, what is it? Will it be alright if I address you by your name from now on? You have it on record, right? Yes. Of course. Please, if you want to, call me by my name. Alright. Thank you for being stranded in space with me, Larion. I chuckled. Felt so nice hearing her say my name. And the same to you, Budapest. Boom! I was sound asleep and suddenly heard a loud explosion. What the hell is going on? The explosion sounded too real and something clicked in my head. Oh no. Oh no. We're under attack. Shit. What do we do? What is it? They're shooting right at us. Stay away from the window. Waking up in a hazy daze, frantic to scramble it to under my seatbelt, ready to duck in the car where the pressure cleaner would have be sacrificed. I yanked it up from underneath the console and prepared to scramble underneath. What? What's shooting at us? How should I know? But they're out there. Boom. Gah! I winced, shrinking into my duck and cover position. This was an emergency. The severity of the situation didn't seem to affect Budapest as she simply stared out the window, curiously. A few moments she blinked. Oh. The hell are you doing? To see you, they'll know where there are people in here to look. No. No one out there, just Ilarion. The console. I was playing a song. Huh? What? I lowered my arms to poke my head out from my safe cubby hole as I counted my swiftly beating heart. I could hear some kind of orchestral song. It was at a feverish pace. Poor recording. 1812 Overture Tchaikovsky. I wanted to give it a listen. Okay, Tchaikovsky, the Overture. I see. That is a good one for me, who a guy who played tuba for over 20 years. This is a funny one actually. So you just turn on a song the entire time. Yes, sir. Huh, that's funny. Tried to nonchalantly play my DRC off, but she wasn't having none of that. You're blushing. I'm not. That's just me catching my breath. I let coolly before pulling myself out of my makeshift bomb shelter and back onto my seat. Alright, Teach. What is it this time? She only stared at me for a few seconds, dumbstruck. I guess my act was convincing. After a pause, she giggled, her cheeks turning a shade of red. Well, let's see what the records have to say about this one. It's really fascinating. They actually use a real old earth cannon as part of the instrument. Exactly. That's why the booms were coming. Yeah, I heard. Oh, it's from a war. A smile from her face fell as she continued to read. Commemorative peace celebrating the defense of Russian sovereignty against an encroaching militarily superior Napoleonic Empire in 1812. According to this, the Russians had used scorched earth tactics, burning their cities and farmlands. The Russian armies and civilians retreated. The French overextended their lines and encountered an impasse. Deprived of food and supplies and constant siege by Russian Cossacks and suffering under the harsh Russian winter, they ultimately retreated. The overture was inspired by the Battle of Borodino, the largest and bloodiest conflict in the war. She wrote the words quietly, hesitantly. It wasn't a pleasant subject to think about. I figured you would have read plenty about war by now. Honestly, I've been avoiding the subject. Been pretty difficult to avoid, but you were curious, so... Ah, damn it. This was my fault, wasn't it? Turned my head aside in the corner of my eye. See her hand rise to her chest, clutching the fabric of her dress. Sounded so heroic and optimistic, but so many had to die. Cold, hungry, and sick. Sounds miserable. I think I'm done reading this. She raised a slender hand to wave the display away. Dissipated in an instant before silently slouching back into her seat. What's up? You're usually not so down like this. There are the casualty numbers on there. I had a bad feeling well up. Didn't want to look anymore, that as well. So many dead. Didn't really think about it any longer. And when I think about all the misery, it's just... I don't think it's something to celebrate. A lot of men died then, right? She nodded silently, looking aside at me. I think it might be something else. It might have been a send-off to the men that went out. I mean, they had homes and families to protect. Probably believed that they had to do it to protect them. I mean, it can't be all about killing the other guy, right? They all had their reasons and... Well, there's always something worth protecting. Sometimes you have to put your own neck on the line to keep it safe. That the truth then? Curious eyes turned to me, expecting some kind of answer. I really couldn't claim to have. I would hope that's the answer. Hard to say either way, but... Going over these old texts, I found there are many truths in the universe. I think that's one I can put my faith behind. Thanks you for sharing. She flashed a delicate, tiny little smile at me, appreciatively I smiled back. Happy to get her out of her funk. Silence fell upon the cockpit, which was fine. I was happy to drop the topic. It occurred to me that I hadn't really looked outside the front of the cockpit in a while. Sure, it was hard to ignore, but I hadn't done any real stargazing in a few weeks. I turned my attention ahead to the stars drifting off in the far distance. Bright stars, countless worlds, each one possibly bounding with its form of life. The expanse of space is terrifying, but at the same time, wonderful. That's all I'm gonna say for now, because holy shit, I might run out of stuff. Let's just skip and let's see how it's gonna go. still a decent amount of text, isn't it? Should I stop the video then, finish the next one? Do I have the energy to finish it on the next one? Because the next one might be a little bit longer still. Just gonna go a little bit more. A little while later, Budapest accosted me with a very unusual, very interesting question. Hilarion? Yeah. I've been studying the human concept of an afterlife, you see. It's very fascinating to see what different cultures and races around the human world thought about what came after death. To experience historically mankind felt as if fought against death, coupled with the concept of the end, how they dealt with this huge looming demonic shadow that was mortality, that hung over them in darkness. I wanted to know what you think about the afterlife, Ilarion. I'm not entirely sure myself. This is a very sudden question, and I don't spend my day-to-day life thinking about my mortality. Smile in unison. Would you like to know what I would want in an afterlife? Sure. She sighed, looking off else for a moment before directing her gaze back to me, an intermittent look in her eyes. To be honest, I don't want anything. What do you mean? I'd want to just sleep forever. Sleep? She nodded, continuing her stare and made it was a rather strange situation. But she had a strange sort of sincerity to put me right at ease, even when I was several hundred steps outside my comfort zone. Yes, it's a concept that's foreign to me, but I'd like to experience it. My breath caught. I knew she could sense my discomfort, whether driven by stubbornness or pure curiosity. I didn't know. What is it like, Ilarion? Sleep? Well, to be perfectly honest, I didn't really know how to answer in a way that would make sense for her. It's relaxing. Imagine losing all of your inputs for a long period of time. It's like that? Sounds scary. It's a time when you don't have to worry or even do anything. Then you wake up, fresh for a new day. I looked past her, back out in the star-cluttered space, trying to ascertain my next sentence. It was difficult. That sounds better, but... I trailed off, both of us already knowing what topic was next. You want to know how it feels to dream? She nodded vigorously, a glint seeming to enter her non-corporeal eyes. It was stimulating to be sure, so there stood a chance against the seemingly omnipresent thirst for knowledge. Well, imagine an infinite number of places, an unending amount of different people, and an indeterminable range of situations. Whatever the mind can think of. Exactly. Different every time. Sometimes you can even bring people whom you've met into the dream. Her eyes were wide. I could tell that she was absorbing all of it. Really? Yeah, your mind is open too. Everything around you while you sleep. So, I could dream that we're both on a beach right now? You sure could. Her eyes in focus once more, she seemed to mull this over. I felt a strange, fuzzy feeling to show her something so innate to us, yet so unique to her. Only we hadn't met under such dire conditions. Distracted by my thoughts, I couldn't hold back a yawn and suddenly emerged from within. Instantly, her semi-translucent eyes started right back toward me. Tired? I think so. Did we just wake up? I leaned back in my chair, the device auto reclining from my benefit. Folding my arms, I prepared myself for another bout of sleep and brought the silent, drifting cockpit. Directing my eyes back toward my companion, I noticed she harbored a very distinctive look. She seemed unsure of herself. Something the matter? But no, I was just wondering if you could do something for me. What is it? I was wondering if I could monitor your vitals as you slept. Her eyes seemed to narrow as if she realized that requesting this was a long shot. And what purpose would that serve? Well, when you dream, I might be able to experience it alongside you. Sure, I just hope there aren't any needles involved. He smiled, both enthused at my acceptance and amused at my interpreted fear. No, I assure you, it isn't invasive. Small compartment opened on the dashboard near the right side. Small device appeared complete with a white electronic patch that looked like it was supposed to be stuck to skin. Well, there it is. Just stick it in near one of your veins, I'll do the rest. Grabbed the device, holding my right cuff down. Carefully attaching it an inch so down below my elbow, it quickly sealed to my skin. Simple. Off to bed I go. Sighed softly and closed my eyes. Good night, Ilarion. Took a deep breath. Good night. With that, I slipped away to my own world, silently wondering if Budapest would come along with me. Slowly, gently, sloughed off the coil of sleep. I opened my eyes and stretched and noticed for once, everything was silent. What day was it again? We must have been on the last leg of our journey by then. But the very notion would have made me restless, eager to get out of this cramped cockpit, board a one-way ticket to Alpha Centauri. Tears said, counting the stars that drifted by lazily. The atmosphere was quiet, it was eerie. Glanced aside at Budapest, who was staring intently out beyond the stars. There was a look in her eyes I had difficulty reading. Was she studying what was going on, keeping an eye out for other ships? She was so quiet. Normally she was rattling on about the latest discovery from the archives, blasting some old sound file she came across. Silence had hung over the cockpit now in the absence of her cheerful exuberance lingered like a heavy fog. Adjusted myself in my seat, grinding my teeth together quietly. Something about this was wrong. Ilarion? I picked my head up, her tone was serious, straightforward, yet in the line for the silent agony of struggle. Our eyes met, her eyebrows relaxed for a moment in response, before she turned again to the ocean of stars ahead of us. Did I ever tell you the story of Palinurus? Also the name of the game? Combed my backlog of memories. She described a great many stories to me in our journey together, but no, not that one. I don't recall. Silly question to ask, isn't it? She chuckled herself in a low chuckle, a noise that struggled to come out. He was a helmsman, a navigator for the Trojans sailing across the sea from Sicily to Italy. A terrible storm befell them as they sailed under his guidance. They did all they could against the tempest, the wind, and the sea. But this was fate that had conspired against them. It was the will of the gods that subjected them to this awful fate. Goddess Venus had come to the god of the sea Neptune, pleading that the Trojans and the Palinurus be granted safe passage across the treacherous waters. She closed her eyes intensely, her voice was quiet, hushed, she lowered her head. Unum pro multis dabitur caput. One life shall be offered to save many. Those were Neptune's terms. Paused, letting that ominous cryptic message hang in the air, her hands clenched against the fabric of her dress. And that is how Palinurus met his end in the middle of that storm. The god of sleep descended upon him while he was at the helm, and with a branch he brushed Palinurus. Falling into a deep sleep, he was swept overboard in the burning abyss. The branch had been dipped in the rivers of leaf and sticks. The former caused complete forgetfulness, the latter the promise of immortality. Nothing to save him, sank deeper and deeper into the ocean's depths, pulled down by Neptune's power. It was his power and his faith that allowed the Trojans passage through the storm, through the sacrifice of one. She raised her head to look out at the stars abroad. Are there any gods such as those still out there among all the stars and planets? They must be a flippant, irrational bunch, huh? She chuckled to herself, but no joy could be heard in that laugh. It was distant, somewhere else, entirely. She took no joy from sharing this story. Something was very wrong. It's been almost 4 weeks since we embarked on this journey. Stumbled upon the myth and experienced so many things alongside you. Learned so much, had so many sensations coursed through me. I'm not sure I'm ready to leave it all behind. Don't think I could forget that. We were speaking of our time together. Of course, she didn't want to let these memories go. She might have been truly alive for all of a month, but for her, it was all she needed. She lived more than most humans would ever aspire to. The wrenching feeling in my gut when we returned what had happened to her. To call her irreparable, would erase her programming, clear memory banks, install a new suppression chip, or would they terminate her being entirely, replace her with a new AI? She was prepared to return to her greatest to first face termination, just to ensure my survival. Ilarion, when I'm gone, you'll remember me, right? Don't talk like that. We're almost there, Budapest. We'll make it out of this, and when we get to Alpha Centauri, you'll be with me. I won't let them lay a finger on you. You won't have to forget anything. You'll get to live, see more than just empty space and databases. I don't care what it takes. We'll see everything there is to see in this universe, no matter what fate says. I felt to assure her that we'd make it through this. The military would bail us out in time. I was clinging on to that scrap of hope. I stared passionately into her frail, delicate eyes. If there was one thing I didn't want her to feel, it was trapped. Trapped by the circumstances, trapped for what she was, trapped by whatever she called fate. It's my directive to... Forget your directive. I shut up from my machine. I was angry. Angry she would ever denigrate herself like that. Angry she felt this way. Angry because I couldn't do anything about it. I was tired of being helpless. This was all I could do, so I pressed on. Never ever say that. You're not a machine anymore. You're a kind, compassionate person, and I can't let you go like that. I felt tears welling in the corners of my eyes. Couldn't let her talk about herself like that. She wasn't a lifeless program, she was real. She had a heart. She had more heart than anyone else I'd known in my life. She stared back into my eyes. Her own white glimmering eyes reflected the hope I could only dream of. Never wanted the light to die from those eyes. Never wanted her to lose that hope. And as obviously every story starts, we all know she's an AI. We're obviously not gonna fall in love with her. We're not gonna think she's real or anything. And here we are, the classic story point where he's like, I love you pretty much. I cannot let you go. We'll find a way. We'll find a way. She was trembling. I wish I could steady her, hold her tight, but I couldn't. I raised a hand to her shoulder, held it in the air, like it was poised to offer comfort, but didn't. It couldn't. It was only my hand. I looked up at her again. Her smile was small, but growing larger with every passing second. I'll protect you, Budapest. I swear on it. Her cheeks spread as the smile widened, beaming once more. That was the smile I always knew she had. It was unafraid, unrelenting. Ilarion. I got through to her. I saw it in her eyes. There's nothing else to say. She leaned closer. The emotional weight was there, even if physical was ephemeral. I'll protect you too. I won't let anything happen to you. Count on me and I'll... 3 days. 3 days and we're home. 3 days, yes, 3 days, Will. I had silently buried into my bag as close as she could be. Hands out in the air, she sobbed. Couldn't hold her. I didn't care. This was comforting. We stood like that for a few seconds longer. Truthfully, I was anxious. I tried to hold her, as if this would be our last seconds together. But they weren't. I'd see it too. I'd see to it they weren't. That's where we're gonna end. That's the perfect time to end. Because today was the day we'd passed by the military village north of an Alpha Centauri, so if you skip that. We're gonna have another long conversation before we meet our fate. Which obviously if we get spoiled by that by skipping that we're gonna die. The thing is gonna break and we die. Anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed episode 2 and the episode 3 we're gonna finish this game, and until then have a great one. Bye bye.